So. There we go. And we are live.
I like being live, don't you?
It's fun because what I like about it is that really the whole world is joining. So we really, like, every time we do this, we have so many people, like now already, people from Indonesia coming in, and it's like 10:30 in the evening, and they are Maldives.
Yeah, that's great.
They're awake instead of watching like movies in the evening. They come and watch us. Makes me feel.
For this talk, you're gonna need a cup of coffee, though.
I
Plus, you
have
got tea.
tea.
Yeah,
I have tea.
Yeah, the tea doesn't.
But as it's our birthday, so I'm just saying, you can imagine whatever's in the cup. It could be like a or something.
Well, it's early morning here, so my cup is full of coffee. Yeah, it's got a little bit of Bailey's in there, but yeah.
That's actually something I really like is a coffee with a little bit of amarula. Do you know amarula? It's been here so often.
Yeah, we've done Bailey's and Frangelica and the Amaruno. That we've done all of those, So if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but anyway, but yeah, we on a good cold morning, a little bit of coffee and Bailey's is really good together. So.
Obviously not while we're working, because we're responsible adults.
Absolutely not.
Which we can't say of everybody in the industry.
Exactly.
Okay, we have a lot of people rolling in. We already have 70 watches. Look at that. From Mauritius, Maldives, Stockholm, Bali, wow, Brazil, everywhere, Austria. Look at that.
Wow, that's great. That's really good. I guess everybody's really interested in the topic then, for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't give too much away.
Yeah,
no. They all want to celebrate with us.
Exactly. Happy birthday to SSI. Happy birthday to SSI. Happy birthday, dear SSI. Happy birthday to you and many more.
And many, many more. I'm not singing with you because nobody wants to hear me sing.
By the way, probably they don't want to hear me sing either, but what the heck, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's 50 years and we have to celebrate that.
Absolutely. Unbelievable, huh?
Look at that more.
It's just hard.
Wales, Florida, Cyprus, Namibia.
Ah, wonderful.
We seem to be popular here.
Yeah. It's you, Corinna. That's for sure. It's you.
Most of them say, "Hey, Doug." so I know you're trying to charm me here, but
hello, everybody. I wish I was with you all in person.
Yeah, but I mean, like we just said, like I just said, like we just said, it's nice because we can be with the whole world right now. That's the one benefit.
We keep saying over and over, when we come out of this on the other side, life will have changed. And that's true. It will have changed. And one of the good changes is the fact that we've all discovered using webinars to connect. And now we realize how far reaching these webinars are. I don't think we'll ever stop. I don't think we should ever stop, because it connects us in a way that we've never been able to connect before when we're apart from one another. Obviously, nothing replaces face-to-face, but at the end of the day, this is just amazing to be able to connect with so many people from around the world.
Yeah, and the fact that we can we can try and do more and more academics online, and then really use our time, our valuable time in the water. That's, I mean,
it's even better. I mean, you're getting the opportunity to use the tools that we have in a way that we've never been able to use those tools, and really spend the time creating divers who want to make an investment in the equipment and who want to go diving and take more classes and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's a win-win-win situation for sure.
Win-win-win. So many wins.
Yep.
If we could just go and dive right now, there would be even more wins, but soon. Let's just say soon.
Exactly. I'm hoping for soon. That's for sure.
Yeah, and what are a few months in the greater scheme of life?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's made us all slow down and look at life in a different way as well. So,
that is very true.
Not always a bad thing.
Yeah, figure out what priorities are. And I see, I mean, one thing we've learned is that for many people, diving is one of their priorities, which is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, our hobbies, our joys, our things that bring us to want to go to work and work hard and then go home and save money and play. I mean, that's what this is all about. And diving is the one that I find so many people are just, enthused by, and they can't wait for their next trip. They may only go on one or two trips a year, but they're home saving money to go on the next trip, So I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think so too. And really like how people enjoy it so much, how they start using all these features to like keep that enjoyment throughout the year. I mean, all these SSI features that we're going to talk about later, like using the logbooks, using the websites, like just to dream about it right now. And that's it.
Absolutely. The app is the greatest tool we ever invented as far as being able to stay in touch. That's for sure. And to dream and to be able to look forward to the next class or the next trip or any of those things, it is an absolute amazing tool. That's for sure.
I fully agree. Well, so it's 4:34 here in South Africa. Yeah. That means it's 8:34 in.
You got it. Right here in Colorado. With a nice brisk morning to start the day with, that's for sure.
Oh, but you have your fireplace in the background. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. And because we woke up this morning, let me think about that. So it's about 7 degrees here. So, it's a little bit chilly. So, but that's okay. It's going to warm up nice and brisk today. So we'll have a good warm day after the day gets started. So.
That's actually how winter is here. It gets really cold at night, but then the day is always warm and sunny and no rain, which is really nice.
That's why we live in the high Sierra Desert here in Colorado, is because that's what happens. The night gets cool, the day gets warm. So that's a good thing.
No need for air conditioning.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's get into it then. So welcome everybody. It's here again. It's Doug and Corinna, like 2 weeks ago, Scuba Sunday. Welcome to Scuba Sunday. And today we talk about the 50th anniversary of SSI. We're 50, which is
wow. Yeah. Hard to believe, probably, if everybody just thinks about that, who's actually on the call. You may not even be 50, and to think that the agency is 50 years old is a true milestone in the industry. So this is really cool. Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, for whoever's listening, wherever you are, grab a coffee, grab a beer, and listen to us. You can obviously ask questions. You can obviously ask questions like every time. So I'm going to follow along your questions. We try to get as many answered as we can. Whatever we can't answer right now, we will answer in the comments later. Okay, I'm going to start. So today we're talking a little bit, for whoever missed the one 2 weeks ago, it was more about us. And today we're talking a little bit more facts of SSI and what we've been doing over the last 50 years and where it has brought us. And yeah, that's really that. I'm going to be asking Doug some questions again. So let's just start up for all the ones that missed Scuba Sunday 2 weeks ago. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your history with the agency? Just a little.
That's always that. Yeah, that's always that embarrassing question. I'll just simply say I learned to dive when I was 10 years old, and fell in love with the sport. Finished high school and college and said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. My mother and father started our business in 1961 in Memphis, Tennessee. So next January, our business will be 60 years old. So we've been around in the industry for a pretty good long time. And yes, I definitely bought the business later in life, but regardless, I bought the business and then expanded it to 4 locations. I have a passion for retail. So that means any bricks and mortar store or resort, I have a passion for, because I simply understand that we are the doorway to diving. And that doorway is so important to people getting involved and being excited about the sport and continuing the sport for generations to come. The coolest thing I think I can ever say about retail is that now that we're close to being 60 years old, we are seeing 3rd and 4th generations of families coming through our door taking scuba class. That's a pretty cool thing. Now, my second passion is I absolutely love training. So I put together a little training program for my own store back in the late 80s and early 90s, and I was able to walk out of my business. Well, let's think about that, 1993. So that was 27 years ago that I walked out of my business and left it to all the store managers with the business system in place to be able to operate. And I made a really crazy move, and I bought a training agency, which my wife.
Crazy move indeed.
My wife looked at me and said, "Have you lost your ever-loving mind? You're jumping right out of the fire into the frying pan." You know, she said, "What are you doing?" So, but having a passion for training, that passion led to buying a certification agency called NASDS. For a lot of people on the call, you might not know NASDS, but it was the National Association of Scuba Diving Schools. And by the way, the birthplace of SSI. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. Anyway, bought the company. Most of my industry friends thought I had absolutely lost my mind, along with my wife, because NASDS at that time was not doing very well. But I knew the foundation of the company, and I knew what I needed to do to turn it back in a positive direction. We bought the company, moved it from California to Memphis, Tennessee. And in a short 5-year period of time, we were able to resurrect the company to where people were joining NASDS left and right. Then industry leader in agencies as well was Bob Clark, which was the CEO of SSI. Bob made a phone call in 1998 and he said, "Hey, Doug, we've known each other forever. We're heading in the same identical direction, working for the bricks and mortar stores. Why don't we take our 2 companies and put them together? And why don't you come to Colorado and be a part of our team?" So we thought about that. And after looking at everything that SSI had in place already and us looking at everything that we had in place already, we made that decision. And in 1999, we merged our 2 companies. And we merged it on a handshake, believe it or not. I didn't even have a signed contract, and I picked up my family and moved to Colorado. And probably about 8 or 9 months later, we finally signed a contract about what it was we were doing. But I trusted him, he trusted me, and we moved forward.
Not many people you can trust these days, at least. Not like that.
Exactly. Especially with your life savings in a company that you're about to merge with another company. Most people thought that SSI bought NASDS. That was not the case. We merged, and I took ownership of the company, if you will. And then along about 2008, actually, I guess it was 2007, we started having the conversation about where we're going. And where I wanted to go and where the company wanted to go was 2 different directions. And so Bob and I just simply said, why don't we just work out a deal for you to buy the company? Myself, Robert Stoss, and Guido Vedzig actually were the three that we partnered up, and we made a generous offer to the Clark family, and we took ownership of the company on March the 28th of 2008. Couldn't have bought it at a worse time in your life, because that fall, if everybody on the call remembers, was the global financial crisis. However, again, foundation of the company, the strength of what it was that we were doing, we weathered that storm with no problem whatsoever and just kept trudging forward. We, and I say we being progressive thinkers with Robert, Guido, and myself, kept thinking about all the things that we could do. And we had done it. We had literally taken everything that we wanted to do with the company. And we simply said, what's the next step? And the next step was digital. So we said, okay, do we really have the wherewithal? Do we have the talent? Or do we need talent in order for us to pull this off? We could see that the future was going to be going to where everybody lives every day of their life on these silly devices. And so we just simply said, we need to go where the customer is. So probably in 2011 and even in 12, we were studying, and an opportunity came along in August of 2013, and it was the Head Corporation, meaning Head, skis, tennis rackets, boots, binders, you name it. And obviously they own a diving division called Mares. And we simply said, hey, maybe this is a great opportunity. And in August, we made the decision. And by December 31, the deal was done. And on January 1, 2014, Head took control of SSI. They own it completely. The beauty of that was, in our time prior to, we were building a container ship of what would become the digital product. So all we needed was the expertise and the IT people to pull us together. So all I'll simply say is, I can go through my whole life story. Not important. What's important is where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And I'll just simply say that the future is brighter than the past, and it's exciting about the plans that we have on the horizon. And I'm just honored to be part of it. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Same here. And it's so nice because you get to meet all the people that have, like you said, built up the company with you, like Guido and Robert. You still meet them, you still see them, and everybody's still around and working so hard to get it to the point that it can be and is already, but there's obviously so much more in its future.
Well, you've asked a question, Corinna, and I answered in a very short period of time. And obviously I could expound on this for an entire day about all the details in between. But the highlights is that this is what we did. And we're just proud because it was never, ever about buying or selling. It was about moving SSI forward every single time, no matter whether it was when Bob and I merged or when we bought the company or when we sold the company. It was always about moving SSI forward. And if we look back on history, it's unbelievable what we've been able to accomplish. But it's because the visionary had to be that you weren't looking in the rearview mirror, you were looking forward, and you were seeing that there were so many things that we could do. And when you open your eyes, the big picture really becomes clear.
And look where we are now. So many of us. I mean, now we're all stuck at home, but generally SSI has 50 years.
Exactly. But Corinna, we're stuck at home. And yet, what have we been able to do that no other agency's been able to do? We have the product. We have the way to get people to be able to continue, even though we're stuck at home. As long as we're just forward, we're there.
Yeah. So for the next question, you've already answered most of it. And for the ones who are interested in more detail about the history of SSI and how SSI came to to be where it is now, watch our last Scuba Sunday. It's actually still on the SSI page, so you can just scroll down on videos and you can find it and just rewatch that if you want to hear more about the whole history. But now maybe do you want to tell us just really quickly where we are now, how we got there, how SSI came to be where it is?
Well, I guess maybe what I would tell everybody is get yourself a cup of coffee and just sit back and let me tell you a little bit about maybe some of the history that's more important to you. If we look at SSI and we say, what makes us so strong? I believe it is two things. One, we are an education and we are a business company. And all that simply means to everybody that's here is that when NASDS was so strong back in the 70s and early 80s, the reason they were strong is that they had a non-binding agreement with a company called Scuba Pro. And basically, NASDS was a sales and a marketing company based on the fact of tying education to equipment. And everybody that was, back in those days, NASDS was also a Scuba Pro dealer, and anybody that was Scuba Pro was NASDS. That's just the way life was. And there was never a time when either company was stronger, never a time. And then the guy that owned Scuba Pro at that time decided to sell it to Johnson's Wax, if you will, just called the Johnson Corporation. I mean, everybody knows that name. And the reality is that NASDS suffered, and so did Scuba Pro suffer, because the education portion was gone, and so was the equipment brand was gone. So guess what? Obviously, with this new relationship that we have, this company called Mares, we've been able to put education and equipment back together, regardless of what your beliefs are, what your thoughts are. I'll just simply say that just makes our dealers that much stronger. So when I look at the company, I have to remember what is the foundation of our company, and we can never forget it. And that is, we are a training agency and we deliver educational materials. I mean, that is what we do. What is the foundation of that program? The Open Water Diver Program. And for all the people on this call that did not know this, it all started with a little company called Jeppesen. Jeppesen was a company that was in the, I would call it the aircraft training business. I'll say this, that they taught pilots how to fly. And they did it through VHS tape and training materials, and they just taught people how to fly. Well, in 1973, Jeppesen had an interest of getting into the scuba business, and they called Bob Clark. And Bob Clark, along with his team, wrote the Jeppesen Manual, which up until 1988, the Jeppesen Manual was not only used by SSI, it was used by many different training agencies that did not have educational materials. However, in 1988, Jeppesen decided they wanted to get out of the, if you will, training business for scuba, and they wanted to focus on what they were doing, and they gave SSI an opportunity to buy that stock and be able to develop their own. Well, the guy that wrote the program was Bob Clark. And so if he wrote the program, obviously all he needed to do now is to really tweak it to a high level and go away from slides to VHS tape and create a program that supported the dealer completely. They did that. And in 1990, they released the Open Water Diver Program with VHS video, which nobody had, and an instructor manual that was second to none. That was, and still is today, the foundation of the company. As a matter of fact, it's what launched the company into becoming a product development company, to the point where they were developing all of the individual specialties through all the professional level specialties, if you will, and professional training. And all I'll say is, SSI was a really, really good education company. And they felt like that's all they were. They were a vendor to deliver the education to their dealers. So probably about 1999, as I said, Bob, or actually 1998, Bob called me and we decided to put the two companies together, as I told you previously. And in 1999, we merged. And what I brought to the table that SSI did not have is that I was a retailer at heart with a sales and marketing background. And therefore, it only made good sense for us to take the two different business models and merge them into one. And we became an education and a business support company almost overnight. Along about 2000, so it took me a year, we launched a program that has been wildly successful for SSI called Scuba University. The program has been taught in too many countries for me to even list. It's been translated in many languages, and I'll just simply tell you, the whole thing was designed around one business model, and it's called the customer loyalty cycle. You have to acquire a customer, develop a customer, get them committed to the sport, and retain them. And that business model is also everything that SSI provides. So when you put the two things together, it just says, wow. And people go, I can't believe how this has changed my business. And we have success stories from anywhere from, I don't know, the people that didn't want to do a whole lot about changing their business of maybe 10 or 12%, all the way up to as much as 30% that they could change the outcome in their business. Well, to me, that's our job. Our job is to help the very doorway that we believe supports our industry, and that is the dive center and the resort. So that was beyond what Bob had done and all the educational programs that they developed. But now we had to have a business support side of what we were doing as well. Then I would simply say is that we decided we needed a dealer conference, if you will, where we could bring all the dealers together and talk about best practices. We did that at NASDS. We had the retailers conference. And so Bob felt like what we could do now is not only Scuba U, but once a year, we could bring everybody together from all over the whole United States. And guess what happened? Just like what's happening on this call. People heard about what we were doing here in the state. And so people wanted to start coming from outside of the United States to our program as well. And it became the International Dealers Conference, where once again, we only shared best practices. So for me, I would simply say that so many of these things that we've created didn't necessarily come from Doug and his idea, but it was an evolution of the ideas and the foundation of the company that brought all these ideas forward. Fast forward to 9/11. Everybody knows what happened on 9/11. So we came out of 9/11. Once again, we knew we just had to stay strong and that we had to keep pushing forward and keep our dealers excited about what was in front of them as opposed to thinking about what had happened. And we created a program called the Master Diver Challenge, because this was a way to take the divers that were already certified and keep them involved at the store level. So everybody here knows it takes 5 specialties for you to become a master diver. And then, by the way, if they hadn't bought equipment, by the time they finish that and 50 dives that they've done, they're going to own their equipment as well. So this was a major push for us to create the Master Diver program in order to keep our customers engaged, somewhat like what's happening today, just with the virtual training that we're doing, is to keep the customer engaged, no different. And then beyond that, in Europe, they created a similar program called Dive Trophy. and Dive Trophy became wildly successful, that, was many people. I mean, just, I don't know, hundreds of people that would enter the contest, but then come out on the other end, not necessarily making it to the actual event itself, and then to come out with the winners, if you will, in Egypt at Robinson Club, and it was just such a special thing. And so we ended up going back to the Master Diver Challenge and simply said, okay, can we do something else to enhance the Master Diver Challenge? And we started working with some of the travel companies, and guess what we got? We got a trip to give away. So the two things, if you will, regardless of what part of the world they were in, the two things really did enhance what it was that we were trying to accomplish. And guess what? They're still here today. We're still using them today, and they still drive a lot of business into our stores. And so I would simply say anything that's a good idea that has staying power will be around for a long time. Beyond that, I would just simply say that recognition. There is nothing more important than recognition. I say this often for all of you on the call that know me. People do things for three reasons: money, marbles, and chalk. Money is the obvious, right? We all work for the almighty currency that where we live, in order to spend it on the marbles, if you will, the toys, in this case, our scuba gear. And then it's the chalk. We'll do more for recognition than we'll do for anything, no matter what you're involved in. It doesn't matter if it's work, it doesn't matter if it's home, it doesn't matter if it's diving, if you will. We'll do more for recognition than we'll do for anything. That's the whole reason behind having all these milestones in place that are free, absolutely free. So when you think about, you've done 12 dives and you've got 2 specials done under your belt and you get a free specialty card, what is that for? Just to give the customer recognition so that they want to do what? Continue. You're following now, and it's all about the advanced and master, and then going into the dive master program. Everything that we do is about the recognition of the customer, because that's what keeps them engaged. Beyond that, going digital. I can't only say, Corinna, there's not anything that has catapulted the company to the level we're in today than going digital. I said this the last time you and I talked, and I can't help myself. I got to say it again. If we stop and we think about where the customers are today, they all live right here. They either live here, or they live on a tablet, or they live on their computer, but they live, if you will, in
little boxes in their eyes.
Absolutely. And as I said, we check these silly things 125 times a day on average. 125 times a day. So when you think about that, guys and girls, where did SSI have to be? We had to be where the customer was. And we really thought, when we launched digital, when we ripped the Band-Aid off on January 1 of 2015, I literally was panicked in my office because I just didn't know what was going to happen. But we did it. And guess what? It wasn't 30% that we thought would buy digital and 70% would still stay with physical. It was the exact opposite. And then last year, all I can tell you is nobody wants printed product. But if they want it, can they have it? Well, certainly they can. All they got to do is click the toggle button in their program, and they can print the material out free of charge. If they want to have a printed manual, they can do it themselves. But we're not going to waste another tree. We're not going to kill another tree to print another book. We're just not going to do that, because that's not what customers want. Then, beyond going digital, we've also got to remember and never forget the environment. The environment is so important to all of us. And you know what? We will all protect what we love. We will all protect what we love. I don't care if it's your pet. I don't care if it's your spouse. I don't care if it's your home. Whatever it is, we'll protect what we love. And I'll simply say, I'll do anything to protect this ocean that we all dive in. And we needed an arm, and we came up with that arm. And we started off with Mission Deep Blue. And because Dr. Sylvia Earle also was using a Mission Blue name, we discussed it together and decided to make a change. And we changed it to Blue Oceans. But Blue Oceans is what now, everybody? It is a program that is 100% free so that we can educate people, consumers, even if they never dive, if they just come in and they learn about what they can do about recycling, not using plastic straws, and you name it, the gamut if you want to.
So many things.
I mean, if every single person in the world tomorrow would pay attention to what we can all do to improve the environment, it wouldn't take long to clean it up. Just wouldn't. But it starts with us, each individual person. And if you can't live that life, then all I can tell you is you can't talk that life either. You can't stand up and profess something in a classroom that you're going to do these things when people are standing in your dive store or your resort and they're seeing that you don't even practice those things. You can't talk out of two sides of your mouth. So keep that in mind. But Blue Oceans, wow. I mean, what an amazing transformation this has had for SSI as well. So I'll just simply say that's another big part. And now, where are we going? Well, you're seeing it. And it's called SSI Digital University. Everything that we do is to enhance the learning experience and to make life easy for all of our customers, most important, the end user. So that kind of gives you an overview of the full gamut, if you will, Corinna, and I hope I didn't bore anybody with that. That's more of the big picture. That's more of the big picture of the company. But I'll just simply say that SSI remains a product development company who will always support their dealers because we understand this is a two-way street. If you're successful, we'll be successful. If you're not successful, we won't be successful. And therefore, we have every reason to want to help every single business to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with it. And this is something that I've coming to SSI. I mean, it's almost been 10 years as an instructor for me as well. Coming to SSI and seeing this, that SSI is really trying to support and listening to customers, listening to training centers, and constantly updating also. I mean, like even with the Scuba U, I've seen a few Scuba U's like you've been talking about, and I've seen it evolve. It has always that same core of information that stays the same and that's still important, but it evolves to new marketing methods and new things around it. And it's the same with pretty much everything. I mean, Blue Oceans for me personally was one of the most exciting programs. And I cannot agree more with you is if you want to teach somebody something about the environment, you have to be the role model yourself.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Nothing worse for me than somebody teaching you about the environment, drinking out of a plastic cup with a straw and just throwing it out, and probably still in a plastic carrying bag. You know how they come.
Yeah, well, I can say that once you get people behind you on those things, it's so easy for them, and so it is literally a lifestyle. It is not hard. It's just a lifestyle. And you know what? Yeah. Practice it for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I'll just say that. Just practice it for 21 days and it'll become a habit. And you'll never go back to doing anything else because it's just what you do. So if there's anything that we can do as a company, this is one of the bigger things that we can do in order for us to be successful, for sure.
Yeah. And just providing that free amount of education, free education. I mean, and this is one of the most important parts about protecting the environment out there now, is people are not 100% educated. They don't know what they have to do. And giving them free education, that's just a way that we can actually make a difference also from SSI, I believe. Absolutely. I truly believe in it.
Absolutely. Going back to what you said about Scuba U, I'll just simply say to you, that's been a living document for the last 20 years. A living document. It changes because nothing remains the same in retail either. It changes. And so, you know, you come back, you go, wow, there's so much other stuff in here. Yep, that's right. And other things are gone away because they no longer have an impact on what it is you're doing. So we don't talk about those things. We only want to keep everything sharp and moving forward. Yeah. And I'm hoping that'll be the case when I'm no longer there. I'm hoping that'll still be the case. So
I think from here it can just get better. I mean, this is one thing you've seen in the last few years, is people are just getting more aware, and there's more outcry about all the, like, oh, is it ocean plastic, coral bleaching? And having the internet and having all these resources like what we have with Blue Ocean just provides the knowledge for more people to understand, and more people to, like, openly tell other people or use social media to share their opinions on it, which I think is a good thing.
And the add-on to that is all the ecology programs. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you can talk about the environment, and you can talk about all the things that you can teach people for free. You can talk about I think there's 4 now, coming 6 chapters total. But at the end of the day, the ecology programs also support 100% of all those things. It's sort of, so it just creates more and more consistency about our delivery is what we're trying to accomplish. So anyway.
That's 100% true. Okay, so now moving on from, we know so much about the history, unfortunately not all. Again, if you want to know more, 2 weeks ago, Scuba Sunday, you can still watch it. Otherwise, just can you tell me a few of the benefits of SSI, how it is now, and how it has come to be over the last 50 years? Just a few. I know there's so many that you can talk about. Even me, I can talk about it for days if I want to, but.
Well, let's do this. Number one, everybody, there will be a 50th anniversary celebration. We're trying to wait until we get most of the countries back semi-open or open in order for us to really deliver everything. But you'll be able to read the full history. I mean, you'll be able to read all the highlights of everything that is going on with that's gone on with SSI. And what we're going to do in the future. I'm sure we'll even get a message from Guido on, you know, what they're still planning as far as the future is concerned. If I wanted to look back and talk about SSI and all of the things that we offer as benefits, the very first and the most important is support. You know, all I'll simply say is that we have a mission, and our mission is to improve the profitability and success of our dive centers and resorts worldwide by implementing a fully developed retail and, if you will, education strategy to provide you to maximize, if you will, the possibilities of people becoming divers and owning their equipment. So I can read it to you, or you can go to the website and you can actually see it. But to me, this is the most important part of what we offer. Flexibility is another thing that we offer as a benefit. We say we have 60 programs in 40 plus languages. Truth of the matter is we have 68 programs. And if I'm not mistaken, we just turned on another 2 languages, and I want to say it's around 43 languages now. And so I don't know, this is such a moving target, everybody. There's just no way for me to tell you the exacts anymore, because that's why we say more than 60 programs and more than 40 languages, is because it is a moving target.
Yeah.
We're creating new stuff every single day. New things are coming out. And let me just tell you, I can't even tell you the number of programs that are on our list complete. It is absolutely crazy.
And it never stops. I mean, that list grows and grows, and people come up with the most random ideas, like mermaid was 2 years ago, and all of a sudden it's there.
By the way, I was one of the ones that said, mermaid, are you kidding me? You know, and yet look at mermaid now. So yes, the list is long, and we have bigger plans about lots of programs. And so I can't say that that's a finite number anymore. And that's why this number is always moving. When you look at these programs, we not only have recreational programs, we have extended range programs, we have freediving programs, we have CCR, now we have SCR. I mean, the list just goes on. How much more flexibility does a dive center need in order for you to be successful? If you simply put a champion, one champion for each one of those levels in your business, you would be busy in all categories that we teach.
Yeah.
Just simply because you got that person that's going to really be the one to take the lead on that and teach those programs. And then you'd be surprised how many people will come to your facility just for that reason. I was shocked to see that the 18 to 24-year-olds, what they want is free diving. They want that challenge. They want to be able to hold their breath. They want to be able to dive down and shoot a fish if that's what they want to go do, or if they want to go take pictures, or they just want to just enjoy the environment with no bubbles or no anything else. Whatever that is, that's their choice. But at the end of the day, you need a champion for that. You can't be all things to all people. You can't do it. It's just impossible. Stay focused on what you're really good at, and then bring other people along to be able to be focused on the other categories that we teach. So for me, our suite of products is without question second to none of anybody else in the entire industry. Then we go to technology.
Of course.
I'll just simply say that we have strengthened the learning process to the point where people retain the information so much easier today that when it's time for them to take their exam scores are much higher. The reason, obviously, is because what did we do? We simply said, no longer can you go Google the answers to the questions at the end of the review chapter. Because why? Because that's what everybody's doing today, whether it's any other agency. That's what they were doing, is just simply Google the answer, and then they didn't have to study anything. You can go to class. Just skip over, because that's the shortest point between the destination and where they wanted to be. So that's what they did. SSI, if you miss those questions, you have to take it again. And guess what? It's a database of questions. To me, that's technology using it in the right way, where these people are truly learning the information instead of just skimming through the information. And when somebody learns something, aren't they better prepared when it's time for them to go in the water? And when they have no fear of being in the water, then they perform better in the water as well. So for me, I could sit here and talk about our technology all day long and tell you all about the fact of our, HD videos and all the questions and answers and all the things that we've done, the animations. But if you stop and you really think about the material, I'll leave you with one thought about the material. Why is it that YouTube is so popular? Because they deliver a lot of information in a short span of time. We don't have the attention of the customer for long periods of time anymore. So what we did, we simply said, okay, if that's the case, let's do one thing. Let's take all of our video and let's break it down into bite-sized pieces to where when the customer watches that, we're not only going to have that content, then we'll have the written word for the person that likes to read it as well. And then we'll have the graphics or the animation, if you will, to make it even easier for them to understand. So what we're doing is we're hitting all of the ways that people learn in a short span of time. And so therefore their retention of that knowledge is greater. I give you an example. When we put the animation of equalization into the chapter on pressure volume relationship, guess what happened? People came to class and they were already ready to equalize. There wasn't any chance that they didn't understand what was going to happen when they went underwater, because that graphic, or excuse me, that animation was so vividly clear that everybody understood why their ears hurt when they went to the bottom of the pool. They understood what they had to do in order for them to be able to equalize, the ways that they could equalize. And guess what? It changed the dynamics of our program. So I could spend all day again talking about technology. I don't need to. If you're using the program, you understand the technology. So keep in mind what it is that we're trying to do. It is a total teaching system, not one item. It's everything. So now you have to listen to me a second. So let me ask you a question, and I asked this the last time. How many of you have actually gone on to the app, your tablet or computer, and taken at least one of our programs yourself, student materials, and answered all of the questions? Yeah, Corinna, thank you. You have for sure.
I did.
I'll just simply start by saying, if you have not taken the open water diver program, shame on you. I said this 2 weeks ago. I'm going to say it again. Why is that? Because the real technology here is that we took all of the equipment out of the #1 chapter and we simply spread it throughout the entire material. For what reason? We wanted to tie the physics and the physiology to the why and the how the equipment played an important role to the diver safety underwater. No longer does anybody feel like we're trying to sell them anything. What are we doing? Educating the customer why that plays an important role to them. Therefore, we're creating need, and they're asking questions, and then they making their own decisions about what it is that they want to get. So there's the real technology behind what we did. It made a huge difference to consumers learning to dive and feeling like they were really being engaged by all of these, if you will, features that we put inside. This app, for me, is the greatest thing that SSI ever created. It does everything, and we don't even stop and think about it. I have to tell you that Doug McNeese would like to see the next thing that happens right beyond this pandemic is that we do a huge social media campaign to get anybody and everybody, diver, non-diver, to register for this app. Because what's all here, everybody? Everything that you need. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy to think of everything that's here. If somebody wants to do a try scuba experience, let them do a dry scuba experience with 360 videos. I mean, you know, with a pair of the goggles. Yeah, exactly. The virtual goggles, they can actually go out there and really experience what it's like. But do we really get excited and talk about this? Do we tell every customer, no matter whether they're our customer, another agency's customer, whatever, about this app? Because the app will do everything for us. So that's a huge benefit, and we need to realize how important that is. I said choice earlier. Choice means that you can either have the digital, but if you won't print, you can certainly print it out. What about the benefits as far as professional membership or the Pro Rewards? There's no other agency out there, none, that gives back to their professionals. And we do. If you teach, you get money back. It's just that simple.
And in 2020, you get twice the money back.
Exactly. Yeah. Think about that. From now to the end of the year, whatever training you do, you're going to get back double the amount of money that we would give you. So if it was 4 points for an open water, it's now 8 points and 80 cents. That's close to, or 80 euro cent or USD, whatever the currency is, that's what it is. Now think about that. I mean,
Quite a lot.
that's huge.
And just think about this. We give you the points for the science of diving programs the pros run now. And the science of diving is free. So we literally give you free money.
Free money. Absolutely free money.
Free money.
In order to pay, that pays back membership fees, it pays back your dues. I mean, everything you do, it's all in order to help our centers and help our professionals to be able to recover, if you will, from some of what's happening right now, but also to reward you during the course of a normal year. It's there for that reason. The other part that I would say is our opportunity. You know, I tell people this all the time. If we had 2,000 extra instructors right now, we could well, maybe not right now. I'll take those words back. But before all this pandemic started, if we had 2,000 extra instructors right now, we could put them to work all over the world. People are constantly looking for SSI instructors. And the reason being is because of the training that goes along with that. So that's a huge opportunity for our professionals. Yeah. The other part
that's actually answering the question that Fred had earlier. He said about SSI pros, is it still difficult to find jobs, especially in America and Asia? And I think you can answer that with what you just said.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Is that it's not difficult to find a job for SSI. If you want a job, we can place you tomorrow, because we got so many jobs out there that people are looking for our pros, because they understand what goes into the training of the pro. And so, no, it's not hard to find a job at all. Matter of fact, I'm going to be hiring a couple of people myself, because I'm always looking for new pros. You know, when I was growing up, my dad said there were two things you can never have enough of: lead. I don't know why, but lead just has its own legs and pick up and walk off on its own. Yeah. And number two was new professionals. We need new, exciting professionals all the time to keep things moving, if you will. So I would simply say that for me, Doug, I would tell you absolutely there's a great opportunity for our professionals. The other thing that we do is that we don't nickel and dime our pros to death. You know, if you're qualified for something, you own it forever, and you own not only the professional materials, you own the student materials as well. And so it's easy, if you will, to be a professional with SSI. And I think that's a huge benefit to what we do. Quality. I'll just simply say we are, and I'm going to read the words because I don't want to take away from anything that we do. SSI is the world's largest business-based training agency with 50 years experience. I don't know what else to say. We have always had a philosophy that we support the bricks and mortar store, and that the professionals have always worked through our facilities. And you know what? That's all about quality control. That's all it is. Just about quality control. No more, no less. Why should that ever be any different? We're a member of the RSTC. Yeah, we're a founding member, by the way, of the RSTC. It started off as the NSTC, National Scuba Training Council here in the United States. And it was a way to keep the government out of our dive centers. That's really what it was for. And then it failed, and we regrouped, and we came up with RSTC through the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, if you will. And now we simply are the secretariat for ANSI for the diving industry. And guess what? It became not only successful here, it became successful in Europe, and it is trying to grow in Japan and in Asia. And I'll just simply tell you that it is a viable group, and they have done a great job of keeping the standards intact and moving them forward and modern. ISO, by the way, became, if you will, the ANSI of the world. So ISO, I mean, if you think of a hairdryer that got an ISO rating on it, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to go and you have to understand what that group is. But now we are also qualified around the world. We're only one of two agencies, by the way, who are qualified in ISO around the world. SSI is one of them, and you can only guess who the other one is. And the rest are only qualified in parts of the world. And so keep that in mind, because there is an audit that you have to go through every 5 years, make sure that you are meeting the standards, or you cannot be in ISO. So that's another piece of this puzzle that keeps things moving, if you will. Beyond that, I could, again, keep on talking. I won't. I'll just stop there. And I'll just simply say, to me, this is 50 years of getting to this level. But, you know, when you find a company that's 50 years old that still has the same core philosophy, I'll challenge you to find another one that's out there. SSI still has its same core philosophy. Beyond the core philosophy, it's always looking toward the future, always creating what is best for our dealers as well as our end users, because at the end of the day, it's only as good as the end user believes that it is. And so we're always forging forward, but we're not ever going to forget what brought us to the dance. And these are the core benefits of SSI.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's so much more. I know we've both been, I mean, even just teaching an SSI course, you already talk about so much of it. And it just naturally comes to be. There's often benefits you don't even realize that are there until, like, you talk to somebody or you're in a crossover with somebody, they're like, what? You do that?
Yeah.
And like, it happens so often to me because I really ever only taught actual courses in SSI, and anyways, only professional courses I've only ever done in SSI. And like, I've been so often in that situation where people say, what, SSI does that? That's amazing. And me not even realizing that somebody else would not do things like that.
Well, you know, Corinna, I have to tell you that you asked me to do this today, and with open arms, I gladly accepted. But you know what I have to do? I have to go refresh my memory as well. I have to go look at things and remind myself as well. And it's the same thing I do when I do Scuba U. I absolutely love it because it really does bring everything back to the surface of everything that we do. And sometimes we're so busy being busy, we forget about the things that really do help us help our dealers be successful.
Yeah. And that's one thing I also love so much about working with SSI, the constant challenges where you have to like keep yourself updated on so many topics. I mean, working here, is it social media? Is it anything scuba diving anyways? But then also I'm really into free diving myself. So I read all the free diving stuff. And so you never stop learning just by being part of the company. And that's what I really enjoy.
You know, Corinna, you hit on something really important there. When we stop learning, that should be the day that we're in the ground, you know, the day that we're gone from this earth. That's the day we stop learning, because beyond that, we should all be learning until we die.
I'm going to go into a few questions from the audience here.
Okay, good.
Ed Fink is asking you, what about the Master Ecologist rating for those that take all the ecology programs? Is that something?
Ed, great question, Ed. This is something that we are absolutely looking at. It's had we probably not had the pandemic, we probably would have already had this accomplished. But I'll just simply tell you, be patient. Let us get to the other side, and you'll probably end up seeing that program come together as well. But the reality is, Ed, you don't forget, you can actually include the ecology programs in your master diver program. You just have to include them a little bit more creatively. That's all. So, you know, don't, I know what you're thinking, Ed. You're thinking of the fact of that if I'm going to do the master diver program, I need to qualify the people with a specialty that they actually go out and they do 2 training dives. And I couldn't agree with you more. They got to do a minimum 2 training dives, or if it's deep, it's got to be 3, and search and rescue and all that kind of good stuff. But at the end of the day, this is you being creative about how you want to put it together. But we've heard this now from many different sources, And so it is on the agenda, but just be looking for it after we get back from all of this.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, there's so many things that we can do. And that's one great thing about the digital platform, like if not all the other great things, is that we can change and take on change really fast and add new things.
Absolutely.
So fast.
Any other questions?
So far, not really. We have a lot of happy people here, happy watchers, a lot of happy watchers. I've actually got a few more questions prepared for you. I've actually got a lot more questions prepared for you, but I've been thinking now that we might just also take this on another Scuba Sunday again. So we make this a two-part series, if you want to see it like that.
Whatever makes you happy, I'm always happy to be with you, Corinna. You're such a pleasure to work with.
Thank you. Okay. Next. Reflecting on your career with SSI, is there anything that you would change?
I thought about that question already, and I have to tell you that I don't think there's not one thing I would change. Maybe if I were going to change anything, it would have been paying attention, if you will, to the family as much as I was paying attention to SSI. And that's always a conundrum, if you will.
Yeah.
I've always been so excited about being in this business that I'm a hard charger and always charging forward. And what I did in the beginning, just like I do in everything that I do, I came out of the gate here in 1999, and all I did is work, 7 days a week in order to keep things moving forward. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And then one day I did wake up and I realized, you know what, you better stop and you better think about, giving your time the way you are and make sure you give some of that back to your family. And I did. And I think I said this on the last Scuba Sunday. We enjoy, other than the fact that a couple of my girls are now having babies, we enjoy going diving together as a family every single year. And we generally do that on a liveaboard dive boat. And now we've decided we're going to go next year, 2021, and we're going to take the whole liveaboard boat, simply because the fact is it doesn't matter if we bring our babies on board then. So we can bring all the young ones on board the boat, and the rest of us can go diving. So I've arranged that with a company that's here. But as far as would I change anything for SSI, I really did try to reach down deep and think if there was anything there. I think that how everything came together, and I have to look at it in a very positive light, because once again, this wasn't about me. It was about moving the company forward. And I'm very, very proud of where we were and where we are and where we're going. So sorry, Corinna, but I couldn't come up with anything more than that.
That's okay. I mean, and you're talking about spending more time with your family. Here I am dragging you out of bed on a Sunday. Sorry about that.
That's absolutely okay. What I mean by that is that it's that quality time. It's not necessarily about the 5 or 6 days a week or whatever it is. It's more of the quality time. And so, but no, I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and I wouldn't change anything. I mean, as I said, every step was, whether it was the merger, that was a hard decision. I'd lived in Memphis, Tennessee for 46 years. My business was there, and for us to pick up our family and move to Colorado and really not know what the future would hold. What I did know is what I held in my heart and where I wanted to take the company. That never changed. And so, and then when I look at the fact that we bought the company, and then when we sold the company, it was always to do one thing: keep moving SSI forward. So no, I'm very proud of what we've been able to do.
Well, I think I'm speaking for everybody here. I'm really happy you did, because otherwise we probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Well, I guess that's a foregone conclusion, I guess. So yeah.
I have one last question. Oh, Ed, by the way, is saying that he's working on recognition cards for the ecology divers right now. And Lyndon and Ed are both really happy about the thought of the master ecologist.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. By the way, when you bring up these kinds of things, as I said to you early on, get yourself a cup of coffee and sit down. The reality is that, I give credence to Bob Clark. Bob had a vision as well. And I'll simply say that when he started back in 1970, he was a big NASDS proponent, him and about 5 or 6 other retailers. And they decided, you know what? We can't do this anymore with NASDS. And so they decided to go out on their own and create SSI. And you know what? They persevered. And they persevered till they finally got to the point where it became truly all SSI. And it's been an uphill ever since that time. And then to see NASDS and SSI actually come back together in 1999, man, that was just like icing on the cake. I mean, it was just so incredible to think that way and to have the brand become one and then evolve to where it's evolved to today. Wow. I mean, just wow.
Okay, so I have one last question from Bill here. Bill is asking, now that the Hollis Prism 2 is CE rated, will they be able to get an SSI rebreather manual for it? I would say there's always, like we always extend our rebreather manuals. So we've recently, just a week ago, I think, added the JJ rebreathers. And we're constantly extending here. But I would also suggest check in Tech Talk Tuesday, because there we have our SSI rebreather experts coming through, and they can answer even more questions on that topic.
Yeah, and I will just simply say that, Bill, if you're asking the question, I'll give you the simple answer. The answer is yes. We do not plan to not recognize all the rebreathers that are CE approved. That is our standard. It has to be CE approved. But most likely there will be chapter and verse of the things that needed to be changed in our manual in order to address those particular units. But that's as Corinna said, talk to the pros. I'm not a pro in CCR. I want to be a pro in SCR because you don't have to fly it. You can just dive it.
So cool.
It is.
That's the one thing about it. It looks so cool. You look like the cool person in the action movies.
I use it in the swimming pool in Italy, and I have to tell you, I was blown away by it, and can't wait to get my own unit. I'm going to wait till they actually get a lot of production going before I get a unit. But at the end of the day, I will have one of those because it's not something I have to think about to go diving with. And I don't want to dive CCR because the fact is that, as I said to everybody before, if somebody says night dive or Chardonnay, I'm going to take the Chardonnay because I'm that guy. I want it to be warm water and I want it to be just fun diving, and I don't want to have to think about it. I want it to be easy. I'm lazy, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Then Tanked Scuba is asking, have you ever considered doing a Master Instructor Challenge with a Master Instructor coin?
Wow. No, I haven't. Great idea. Do me a favor. You have my email address, I think. But if you don't, it's DMCNEESE@DiveSSI. Send me that idea. Let me push that all the way up the ladder and see what we can come up with. That's a great idea.
Great idea. And then the last one is from Roberto asking about the My Dive Guide, to which I would say we actually prepared a lot, but we're already more than 1 hour in, and I don't think people want to listen to us for hours and hours on a Sunday. That's why we will have another episode of Doug and Corinna Scuba Sunday.
Roberto,
a limited series.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Roberto,
maybe Netflix wants to buy it from us.
Yeah. So Roberto, I'll just simply say you and I can get on a chat together, and we'll save the mystery of My Dive Guide for another day. But you and I can get on a chat, and I can talk to you more about that one as well. But to say that I am excited would be a absolute understatement. It is so amazing what this will bring to everybody that I just I can't fathom the idea that we didn't do this years ago. This is my point of what I've been saying all morning long. We have creative people. We have wonderful ideas that are coming forward because we're a company that embraces new ideas, and we're always looking toward the future. So this is a futuristic idea that I think people will, I shouldn't say will, they already truly love. So as Corinna said, don't want to get too far down the road on that one because it is literally a topic by itself.
Yeah, we can talk about that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a few webinars by now about the whole My Dive Guide part, and I can never finish it within an hour.
Yeah. And the thing will happen is, Roberto, the same thing you're doing. So many questions will come in, and that's great. That's when you will learn more about it. So yes, that's another topic.
So again, if anybody from Netflix is watching, we are open to make this a limited Netflix series for the right price. Otherwise.
Oh, you're too funny, Corinna. Just love you.
Otherwise, I would say thank you very much. Thank you, Doug. And I will see you again. Everybody stay posted for our schedules. We always post our schedules for the Scuba Sundays, Free Dive Fridays, and Tech Talk Tuesdays. Tech Talk Tuesday, the next one will be with Kat again this Tuesday. So come through. Don't forget about it, even if you're not a tech diver yet.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, remember that. But you're having those pros on each one of those categories makes a big difference. And I'll say the same. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in and being with us. It's always my genuine pleasure to be able to talk to all of you. I only wish I could see you in person and that I could either shake your hand or hug your neck. And I'll just simply say, until next time, thank you so very much. And keep pushing forward. We will get through this together.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you again, Scuba Sunday with Doug and Corinna.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.